Hello, welcome to the Battle in Barrow Gaming and a second video looking at the Dungeons and Dragons of starter box sets. In this we're moving on to Advanced D&D and the second edition and the awesome introduction to D&D. So let's have a little look at what's in the box and then go over some of the rules. So this is what the box set looks like. Brilliant cover art as usual for this era. This is interesting. Interactive audio CD. On the back, this box is packed, and it really is. So, this is what we're going to get inside. I'm not going to go over this. We're going to look at it as we go in. Let's flip it over and get into it straight away, shall we? So in this, we get 3 books. In this we get a player's handbook, the DM guide, and a Monstrous manual, which is brilliant. We get this, which is an audio CD, which will be used in 2 of the adventures that are contained in this, and adds to it. We get these, which are pre-generated characters. Now this could be bad because we're looking at how character creation is done, and to me a starter box set should go over character creation, but does this bode well or ill for us? But anyway, let's have a look at them. We got Baldur the Brave, we got Morganth the Mysterious. Now the artwork is great in this, but this is some of its repurposed. This is actually Wizard Fizzbang and Tasselhoff from the Dragonlance series. Delvor Iron Fist, and this is actually Bruno Battlehammer from Icewind Dale. You can see Wulfgar, Regis and Dritz in the background there. Silverleaf Halfmoon, the Elf. Lorden the Pure, a human cleric. And Slinker, the human thief. In this we got some miniatures for each of the playing characters. These are actually the same ones that you got in the Dragon Strike board game. These are sort of how I painted them back in the day, so they're badly painted, and I'm not going to strip and repaint these, because if I want to use these in this game I'd just get the ones I repainted for my Dragon Strike game. I'm keeping these just as a reminder of how far I have come. These ones here are actually somewhat damaged. His mace is gone and his hand's gone, and this one actually comes from Dragon Strike because it's purple. Dragon Strike were purple, these were blue. Even have the sprue for some reason, but yeah, so I'm keeping those for these badly painted models just so I can look back and see how far my painting has come. Yeah, so you get these, which is cool. Miniatures in a box set is always good. You also get dice in here, but over time I've just got a big box of dice now that I sort of took them out, but you'd got the standard dice in this set as well. You get this, which is a lovely DM screen with, again, well presented art. On here is some useful bits and pieces of information, what the attributes are, how to do an ability check, time of movement, special movement, dangers, combat and save and throw secret doors, and some skills for the players. So if they can't remember, you can help them out and look here. So if cleric wants to turn some undead, you can tell him what he needs to roll. That's pretty cool. Also amongst this is this. This is a double-sided battle mat. So this is for the first adventure, the Tomb of Damara. See here, lovely battle sheet. Can't really fit it in. On the flip side is House on Harrow Hill, which is effectively a haunted house. And again, beautifully presented. And I've got this, which is a response card, which I'm sure I'm not going to get a response from now. And in here, there's just some old bits of notes that I've from the game. So that is, yeah, I mean, really, this is just packed full of stuff. You know, battle map, DM screen, models are always good, dice, and most importantly, this CD, which we'll cover in a minute. But let's have a look at the books. So let's start with the Player's Handbook. This is a 32-page book, and this goes over all the rules and has some lovely full-colour art in it. This is a great set. This so it goes through the attributes, which remain the same throughout all versions of D&D. The classes in this book, it just has fighters, wizards, thieves and clerics. For more, you would get the advanced D&D Player's Handbook. Races in this are just humans, elves and dwarves. Again, if you wanted more, you'd go into the handbook, the real full-blown handbook. Unlike the last version where dwarves and elves and halflings were a class, they're now a separate race, as per AD&D. An interesting thing to note compared to modern D&D, which I think second edition, I did one thing I didn't like, is 1 round equals 1 minute, whereas now it's like seconds, 10 seconds. But in that, you can move up to 120 foot per round, dwarves 60 foot, and if you move half your movement, you can make an attack action in the same round. So if you want to just move, you can move up to 12 inches or 12 squares. But if you want to attack, you move half of that and perform an action. And one thing I do like here is, because really you're not moving in squares in D&D, that's a board game. It sort of says sometimes you can be in a square or out a square. The grid's just there to help you, not to be strict. So you don't have to land in a square, you can go into 4 squares really if you like. Order of fighting, this is interesting. For initiative, the DM decides what the monsters will do, players take turns saying out what they will do. Roll for initiative, whichever side wins rolls its attacks, and this is just done by rolling a 10-sided dice. One player rolls for all the players and the DM rolls for all the monsters, so there is only 2 sort of action steps in this set. It's not necessarily true to AD&D, but that's just this set. Attacking, let's go over some of these rules now. Attacking, this is the infamous FACO. Now FACO stands to hit armor class 0. So you have a number, your characters have a number. If I quickly, it'll be easier to grab a sheet here, because what I didn't show when I looked at them is, yeah, it's on the front here, but on the back it's got general rules and then specific stuff here for your character. But here we can see FACO, what the FACO is here, and it's 20. For level 1 it's 20. So that means if I'm facing a monster with an armor class of 0, I need to roll a 20 to hit it. Okay. In second edition AD&D, FACO and armor class, the lower the number, the better you were. So the better you were at fighting and the more armor you had. Now a lot of people get confused by this, but it's not too complex really. So if we go through the example here, basically here the example is 19, so that means he's going to be on level 2, and the monster is 17. The fighter has an armor class 4 and the monster has a 17. So if I was rolling the dice and I got a 19 and 20, I don't need to do any maths. I just know if I'm going to hit something of armor class 0, then I'm also going to hit something at armor class 7 with that result. So if I rolled 19 or 20, I don't need to worry about it. I've hit that. I know I've hit that monster. But let's say I roll under that, and the example is here a 14. This is where you need to do a wee bit of maths. So armor class has a FACO of 19. I'd subtract 14 from that, give me a score of 5. That means I will hit anything with an armor class of 5 or worse. So in this case, 7, I'm going to hit it because I've got under a 7. But if it had an arm class of 0, I wouldn't have hit it then. I'd need to have got that 19 or 20. So it's a bit convoluted, but not as complex as people make out, really. It's just a bit of maths, you know. FACO minus your dice roll equals the arm class you're going to hit on. Boom, you're done. But saying that, there are times when you get it like I've got now, and then about a week later you'll come back to and go, you'll be like, how does FACO work again? But that's pretty much it. And then you roll your damage, and that is just whatever your weapon will have a damage dice. Sure, you'll have ability scores that will modify that, like modern D&D. But that is combat. It's really quite simple, quite straightforward, really. Hit points, you have, when you get down to 0 hit points, a monster is dead. A player doesn't die at 0. A player dies when it gets down to minus 10 hit points. Between 0 and minus 10 hit points, the player is considered to be unconscious. There's none of these death saving throws that are going on in modern D&D, so it's a bit more simple, a bit more streamlined for there. Saving throws are a simple matter of rolling a d20. I think it's pretty much the same in the last set we looked at, and I think this is pretty much straightforward across D&D. The only difference is in this set, whereas before we had a different saving throw value for each type of saving throw you're making, in this you just get 1. So level 1, my saving throw is 17. So you just look here. It says here I've got a longsword, so I would have done d8 plus 1 damage, which is a plus 1 strength, plus 1 bonus for strength. So we got that there. And yeah, so really, this was, I actually really liked 2nd edition. I found it really straightforward. Ability checks are pretty much as they are in 5th edition. You roll a 20-sided dice. If the number is less or equal to your ability scores, you pass it. So that's pretty much the same. And we've got some lovely rules here, and it just goes over the different rules. But in this set, if we're judging the set, we have pre-made characters. What are we going to do? Well, don't worry, because this set includes character creation, which is amazing. So you get pre-gen characters if you want to just play straight out the bat, get a taste for it, which is what a starter should be doing for you. But then you want to take it to the next level, so you want to create your own character and give it a whirl, see if you really like it. And of course, as we mentioned, this is a very cut down version of what characters you can create, but that is what a starter set should be. It should then entice you, go, oh well, I enjoy playing that, creating this character. What other characters can I create? I'll buy the player's handbook and find out. It entices you. So to create a character, it's quite simple. You roll your ability scores. To do this, you just, like last time, you're rolling 3d6 6 times. But unlike last time where the order you roll them is how you assign them, you just roll your numbers and then you pick and choose what ability that number goes to. So if you're playing in a fighter and one of your numbers, your last number you rolled was the highest, you put that in strength. And here, this table here will tell you what adjustments you get for that attribute. So you can see if I got a strength of 18, I'm going to have +1 on my hit roll and +2 on my damage roll, and this goes across the board. Hit point adjustments here for constitution, etc. And that is pretty much it. That is what you're doing. There are a few other things to note. Is if you want to play a dwarf or an elf, there are some sort of ability requirements. So if you want to be a dwarf, you've got to have a strength of between 8 and 18, dexterity 3 and 17, constitution 11 and 18, intelligence 3 and 18, wisdom 3 and 18, and charisma of 3 and 17. I mean, it's quite high. These, if you want to play an elf or a dwarf, you're not really going to run into too much trouble. But I kind of like this because, as it says, this is set in the Forgotten Realms of 2nd edition. Most of the races should be human, at least in this era of it. But you also get some racial ability adjustments. If you're going to be a dwarf, you get +1 to your constitution but -1 to your charisma, and same with the elves, which I really like. Also, there are some class requirements. If you want to be a fighter, make sure you got a strength of 9, wizard, intelligence of 9, cleric, wisdom of 9, and thief, dexterity of 9. All straightforward. One thing I don't like about D&D is the rapid rate of leveling up. It's 300, isn't it, for your first getting to your second level, whereas in this it's 2,000 for a fighter, 2,500 for a wizard, 1,500 for a cleric, and 1,250 for a dwarf, and that to me is a much better way of doing it. So this will then just take you through your like if you've got spells, what spells you can take, what other abilities there are, and then at the back here you just get some equipment, because you get a starting money table here that you roll to get what money you have, and then you buy your equipment to begin with. And then finally, wizard spells, there's quite a few here, and cleric spells. And yeah, so really, all in all, brilliant. So you have your basic rules, character creation, and spells. Just exactly what you're kind of looking for in a handbook, you know, a start set handbook. But let's talk about the actual quests you get in that, and that is in the DM's guide. So in this, it goes over what a DM is, how to be a DM, etc., but also how to use the CD. Again, lovely full colour art, just look at it. Look at the art. Yes, it goes over using the CD. So it talks about when you see this in the book, you play that track number and then you stop it at certain points. So I'll probably play some of that during the course of this review. So this has 3 adventures in. This has the Tomb of Damara, Ghost of Harrow Hill, and Under Mount Dread. This one makes heavy use of the CD, etc., and you don't have to do anything. This one pretty much the same, just to get you into it. I think there's slightly less CD use in it, but this one there is no CD, no, you may have noticed it was only a 2-sided battle mat, no battle mat, and the second part of the dungeon kind of needs a bit of work to it. So that's what I like about this. When I talked about Keep on the Borderlands in the last video, I said it needed a lot of work. It's not good for a DM, a starter DM, because whilst it does teach you to do some prep, it's not good just to run off the bat just to get a taste for it, whereas this sorts that problem out. You can run this adventure and then run that adventure to get a taste for the DM, and then next session go away and do your bit of prepping and learn that aspect of DMing. So this is how you do things. It also has a town in this as well, which we'll get to in a minute. So Tomb of Damara talks about how to read the map, yada yada, and here it says about the track. So track 3, the track plays the sound of the key beginning very softly, track 33, or very loud at 34. Talks about how to use the CD, but here we have track 3. The story begins with heroes in Red Dragon Tavern in town. So we'll probably have a little listen to that audio now.
And 5 gnolls, 2 hobgoblins, a lizard man, and 20 orcs I slayed. I did. 20 orcs flopping around like mackerel on my sword.
Ah! Thought you'd think you might be exaggerating just a wee bit, warrior. Perhaps maybe you badly bruised one orc.
What, you calling me a liar? What do you think? Nobody calls Brandon Hardlow a liar. Just defend yourself now.
Hardlow, steel yourself. I think you made a serious mistake challenging the thief.
Well, this doesn't concern you, warrior. I challenge this miserable thief.
He might be miserable, but he is also formidable. I personally saw him whack a dragon bone from bone.
And it pauses here after you listen to that, and you've got a decision. Ask the players, are you going to follow the town crier? And it gives you answers knowing yes. These are just sort of helpful hints. Sort of later on we'll get, like here, we're going to be asking questions, and it gives you some common sort of questions expecting, you know, what does the person look like, what do you know about the orb, what is Damara's castle, any other questions. It give you sort of answers here, but then your players may not ask these 4 questions, but you kind of, by looking at this, you kind of get an idea of what you should be answering. So yeah, pretty cool. And then we go through the adventure. It breaks it down. Get your DM map here, and you're going to start here. The first place your player's going to have to go is into here because there's only one door. So you go room 1. You've got some lovely flavour CDs which really did add to it when we played this back in the day. And then they got different options you're probably going to do. Surrender. You probably don't want your players to surrender in the first encounter. Retreat. Probably won't want to do it. Talk and fight. So you can talk to them, but a lot of the time depends on what's going on. You know, they might just want to fight, or later on you can actually talk to people. Nice thing about second edition monster stats is they're here, they're included here, so you don't have to look up to your monster manual because the stats are included in adventure, so it really keeps it flowing nice. Stat blocks in 5e are a bit too big to do something like this in, I found, but really like that. And again, evocative art, just fantastic. There we go, kobold searching. So yeah, I'm not going to dwell on this too much because, you know, you might want to play this, but it's great. Look at this art, just brilliant. And what we're going to do is at the end, you go back into town. This is the town of Freedale. So it talks about, gives you a nice little land map showing you roughly where it is, going how to use it, you know, how to run a town, which is great. And then we get a map of the town, and I'm sure I had this in this set as a separate handout that you could give to the players, which I don't seem to have in the box, so I may just reprint this out using the modern marvels of technology. So then you have these all numbered, and then you can, so if the players want to go to like the wizard tower, you go to number 1, gives you a bit of information there, and then what's on offer, so to speak. And you know, you can go to the stables. There is a shop somewhere where you can buy goods. Tavern, brilliant. So once you've done your town stuff, that's all great. You play your next adventure that goes to Harrow Hill. Now this, as it says, is not designed for first level characters. They will get their butt kicked, so second and above really. And this set should take you to characters of level 5 by the time you've played it through. So again, it's the same sort of principle. You have a CD that you're going to listen to some tracks to get some nice atmospheric mood going on. You have your map here, and it's the same principle where you're just going to look through the areas, and there'll be options to give you an idea of what sort of things could happen. Most of the common ones are sort of covered, you know. This is again interviewing someone, asking questions. So a lot of the common questions here. The rest of it you're going to have to make up or probably answer, I don't know that. Oh, just beautiful. And then this third adventure is slightly different. So this is under Mount Dread. There is no actual player map to it, although I found it weird because you do get that. So there must have been one available. So what it's suggesting you do is, because not every game would have battle maps back then, so it says if you want to use a map for special awareness, you use graph. So you get in like a grid and you're drawing it out, which is kind of how things were done in the old days. Nowadays, if you want to, you can use dungeon tiles, can't you? I mean, there's a great video, several great videos on this channel, how to make D&D tiles. So yeah, that's not a problem really. But there's no CD in this, so you're going to be doing all the talking for NPCs and so forth yourself. But the CD did have just atmospheric bits and pieces in it that you could use just to get the mood going. You could sort of use the CD, plot out where, you know, just background noise is. Nowadays you can use, I don't know, Sirenscape and things like that to do that. But and then level 2 has no map whatsoever, but so it's up to you to sort of come up with that. But it talks about that here. It takes you through that. It's not just doesn't abandon you. It talks about getting you. So it really is. So this had a monstrous manual, which is great. So effectively, it's got a number of monsters that are contained within the book, and some that aren't. So it's not just the monsters that are in the starter set. It's a lot of other common monsters that you would encounter that you can use in your games. Again, something that modern starter sets don't do, and we'll cover that when we get to the 5th. But yeah, this is pretty much reminiscent of the monster manual for 2nd AD&D edition. Sort of the layout's the same, just very cut down. And it was this era of artwork I really love. I always had sort of slight crush on her when I was a younger person. I don't know why. Just got a thing for drows apparently. Go figure. Too much. Yeah, so here we are. We have a load of monsters that you can create your own dungeons with and run your own adventures. And so this set would keep you going for ages, because you can just, before you would have to, you know, it even has treasure in here. So before you'd even have to buy the hardback books, you could have just got away with using these. So I think this set is spectacularly good. So that is the second edition AD&D starter set, introduction to AD&D. I'm not too sure if this was a UK only release. I don't know if you got it in America, because there's also something called the complete starter set for AD&D game, which is what sometimes people refer to as the yellow box, and that is effectively the same. It has the same books in and the same sort of audio CD. So as far as I can tell, this was like a UK version and that was the American one, but it's pretty much the same. So if you got that, you've got this. That's it for this video. Next time we're going to be looking at how Wizards of the Coast did, because the next set is their first foray into D&D with 3rd edition and 3.5 edition. And we'll get to see how Wizards of the Coast did, because so far TSR are knocking it out the park with their sets. Let's see how Wizards of the Coast do in the next video. So until then, guys, take care. Bye bye.